and welcome to the DTM 2014. Finally, we are back. It certainly was a really long winter. We are here at the Hockenheim Ring, as tradition has it, and we are thrilled that finally the new season is about to begin. 30 years of DTM, we've got new drivers, new regulations. It certainly is going to be really exciting. And one thing's for sure, Mike Rockenfeller, the champ 2013, the current champ, certainly is going to cling on tightly to his title, but it's going to be really exciting. And now, who could show us the Hockenheim Ring better than the champ? Here's Mike Rockenfeller.
Now we arrive to corner 1, which is a really quick one. You have to be careful on the exit, not to go too wide. You have to stay with 2 wheels on the track. This is crucial, especially in qualifying. Then we arrive to corner 2. You shift down to 2nd gear. You accelerate onto the main straight, where you arrive at the end with the top speed around 260 when you have the DRS open, without maybe 250. Is also the best place to overtake other cars in the race. In qualifying you have to be really late on the brakes, but make sure that you don't miss the apex like I did now. And then you have to be early on power again. The rear axle always tends to lock under braking, so that's the tricky part. Then you shift up to 5th gear, you do this corner flat out, you arrive before the Mercedes tribune, shift down to 2nd gear. Here you accelerate the car, get some wheel spin, and here in this corner it should be flat, but it depends a little bit on the balance of the car. Then entry motordrome is 4th gear, really quick, only a short braking, and then Sachs corner. You take an odd line, you are really on the upper side of the track, and then you accelerate early, flat out to these 2 corners, and then the last 2 you have to be in 3rd gear again. Quite tricky, very hard for the tires, the left side tires, and then you accelerate again, and we are on start finish, and hopefully you look on the display and you did a lap around 1:32.
Well, thanks very much to Mike Rockenfeller there, taking us for a high-speed lap around the Hockenheim circuit. And free practice was the first opportunity that we had to see for the all-new season of 2014 of just some indication, Chris Hartley alongside me, of who was doing what.
Yes, exactly right. And Marco Wittmann, fastest in the free practice, you can see there, well in the 132s, whereas pole last year was 135.9 for Timo Scheider. There you can see the 23 drivers representing the 3 different manufacturers, of course, that we now have with Mercedes, with Audi and with BMW.
So looking forward to this 30th year of DTM, and so too are those drivers, all full of anticipation, ready to get out there on track for what is effectively an all-new style of qualifying, because we've lost the pole position shootout. We go to a 3-session qualifying format for 2014. All drivers will be out there for a period of 13 minutes to qualify or go through to the next round of qualifying, Q2 and then Q3. How many do we lose in the first part of qualifying? Well, we're going to lose 5 drivers out of that, and progressively we get down to what will effectively be where we find pole position, which is going to be, of course, now in Q3 rather than that 4-driver pole shootout that we used to have. The clock is ticking down as the cars get out on track, and we are ready to go. Qualifying for DTM season 2014, 30 years of it, is about to get underway.
And qualifying, Dave, perhaps even more important than it was last year, because one of the various new rules that's come in this year is regarding the option tyres, the softer option tyres, which now can only be used for a maximum of 50% of the race distance. Now, they won't get to use the options in qualifying, it's for the race only. But there was a lot of strategy in play, and Team Phoenix and that man there, Mike Rockenfeller, were very sharp with the strategies last year. And quite often he was able to turn pretty average qualifying positions into points-paying results, and his 2 race wins did come from pole positions last year, but it was when he came through the grid and picked up these extra points that, with his strategy, that he was able to employ with the softer options, and the Audi that he drove with Team Phoenix worked well in those softer options. But now with this new rule and the fact that after qualifying the cars go into parc fermé conditions, they can't change the car, so what they qualify with, they've got to start the race with And therefore, qualifying, I think, is going to be perhaps more important than it was last year. There's not maybe so many opportunities to charge up through the field as there were in 2013.
No, you're absolutely right. So qualifying takes on even more significance perhaps for 2014. Other changes we're going to see throughout 2014, which if we get the opportunity, we'll bring you those changes during the course of this qualifying session and of course during the race tomorrow. Only one pit stop. Performance weight's going to come in as well. That of course will take effect from the next round at Oschersleben. But here, right now, we're watching Edo Mortara out there on track. We're already just under 11 minutes left to run in this first qualifying session of 2014. You're very welcome to join us for DTM 2014. Edo Mortara then is going to give us the first effective time up on the board, which will provide the benchmark for us in this, the first part of qualifying, the 3 quali sessions that we're going to see this afternoon. Lots of drivers with new liveries for season 2014. And already our director doing a great job in bringing us that slow-mo replay. And now here is something that we need to be ever conscious of, Chris Hartley, and that's going to be track limits.
That's right, yeah, all the way through the free practice session. There were little messages popping up that drivers were exceeding track limits, running over those white lines far too often. And already we've got 3 messages to say exactly the same thing. Edo Mortara, and also being noted, Vitaly Petrov has exceeded the track limits. Pascal Wehrlein, the young German, likewise, and now Daniel Hunkadea. And what we've seen in the other sessions so far this weekend is drivers' fastest times being taken away from them when they do that. So in a fairly short session, they've got to be careful, haven't they, not to lose too many laps because of it.
Here comes Mike Rockenfeller then, the champ. They're ready to cross the line. Vittoria's gave us a 1:34.363. Rocky goes with a 1:33.665. Augusto Farfus then, always cheerful, always chipper, is the Brazilian. A great guy to be around and a phenomenal racing driver. He retains his similar livery for 2014. What can Augusto Farfus do for us now? So, around the 2 final turns, heads for the timing line, does Augusto Farfus. And he goes quickest with a 1:33.420.
Yes, that's pretty good, and already you'd think that might put them safe, with only the slowest 5 being eliminated from this first part of qualifying. Marco Wittmann has since gone quicker though with a 1:33.1. So Farfus, who had the most race wins of anybody last year, 3 wins, one of which was here at Hockenheim, second in the championship. It's been bumped down to second in qualifying now. There's Matthias Ekström, the former double champion, who was the second best of the Audis last year, wasn't he? Even though he was down in 7th place in the championship.
Yes, long-term campaigner, of course, in the DTM as Matthias Ekström, as he crosses the line right now and is 4th fastest. So it's Wittmann, Farfus, Glock, Ekström at the moment.
And this is a replay of a little bit drifting wide there from Matthias Ekström, the Swede. But his name's not flashed up on the track limits warning board, so I think he might just about have got away with that. As we look at Timo Scheider. Mike Rockenfeller, of course, Dave, is looking to become the first man since Timo Scheider to win back-to-back titles. It doesn't happen very often.
No, and yes, that's very much in his quest, isn't it? Well, Scheider, 13th fastest at the moment, so Wittmann right at the top of the chart with a 1:33.116. 7.5 minutes remaining, and here is Gary Paffett then. Gary, another one of those that is retaining the livery from last year, the Euronics livery for Gary Paffett. So we're looking at the first 2 sectors. Probably not going to trouble the very, very top of the chart. See what Gary can do here. So around the final turn goes Gary Paffett. 1:33.116 was what Wittmann has set, and there a 1:34.091. I think it's fair to say, Chris, you and I were having a discussion about free practice and raised our concerns about Mercedes, although you were one that said, come on Dave, that's only practice.
Well, yeah, free practice is he's not always that good a guide, but you did start to wonder when the Mercedes were all down there in the bottom third of the field. So Gary Paffett, I know from past experience, is one that goes for the setup in the race and isn't necessarily always worried about times in free practice, but only the 15th fastest time there. Top 18 go through. At the moment, the ones below the cut-off point then are Robert Wickens, who had this breakthrough season last year, but hasn't really put a lap in yet. He's 19th. Petrov, coming from Formula 1 2 years ago. Break last year, coming in this year, the Russian 20th. Muller, who's looked pretty handy so far. Sven Muller with a very good pedigree in GP3 and Formula Renault, but he's 21st. Adrian Tombe, Jamie Green is 23rd and last at the moment.
Well, here is Jamie Green, and this is going to take a bit of getting used to. Seeing Jamie Green with an orange livery. It's never been done before, but we had a conversation with Jamie yesterday and he seemed very, very calm and confident and very, very happy. Of course, he made the switch to Audi and it took him a while to get on terms with it last year. He's made a switch to a different team within the Audi manufacturer base this year, and Jamie was full of confidence going into this. So we'll see what he can deliver right now. He's currently down there, P23, but he answers that, doesn't he, with a P2, Chris?
Yeah, with Team Rosberg, now Keke Rosberg's team, and just in his second year as an Audi driver, having been a Mercedes man for most of his DTM career. He switched teams, as you say, to Team Rosberg. Without going into any detail, really, he just said to us, he just feels more comfortable. The team operates much more in a way which he feels comfortable within. So, yeah, as you said, he looked pretty happy, pretty relaxed. It was a tough year last year, but I'm sure Jamie's gonna come back fighting. There's Robert Wickens, another man with new livery, and the Canadian, really strong season last year, didn't he? And he'll be one to watch, I would have thought, this season as well.
Yeah, we saw real glimpses from Robert Wickens last year of the immense talent that is there. Now, I have to say, I wondered whether Rocky would rest that now, but with just under 4.5 minutes left on the clock, Rocky's going out again. Because, well, nothing is guaranteed, is it? Got to be absolutely sure that you're going to be safe. We're going to lose 5.
Into the picture says Christian Vitoris. Now, Christian was the best of the Mercedes runners last year, 4th place in the championship. At the moment, he's down in 21st place. Gary Paffett's only just above the line as well, and he's the last of the ones to go through to Q2 at the moment. 1:34.091. He's less than a 10th quicker than Daniel Hockenheim, who's just behind him. So Gary's got to go out there again, I would have thought.
Well, Paffett is out. I've just seen him come back out again. Probably a fresh set of rubber on that car. There he is. See him on screen now. We're watching Adrian Tombe here. P23 at the moment for Tombe. That's not what he wants at all, but looking at those sector times, that's not where it's going to stay. So this is Adrian Tombe. We follow him all the way to the line. We've got 3.5 minutes remaining in this. First for 2014, first part of qualifying in DTM. Heads for the line, does Tombe now. What's it going to give him? A 1:33.361 puts him P5. So safety for Adrian Tombe with 3 minutes left to run. It's Whitman Green. Sorry, Chris.
So that means that Paffett's below the line now, doesn't it?
Here's Pascal Verlaine, who we saw being interviewed just before we came up here, and this ever youthful look. Pascal Verlaine with the Guix livery on his Mercedes. He's 21st at the moment. He's going to cross the line just about now. Go 7th fastest.
Very good lap. So now Wickens, Paffett, Hockenheim, Vitoris and Petrov are the 5 that are going to drop out as it stands with 2.5 minutes to go.
The BMW bank livery of Bruno Spengler. Just look at the focus through the crash helmet on his face. He's currently 15th. What can Bruno Spengler deliver? Oh, this is fantastic. We stayed with him just for a moment as he was hustling his BMW. Around this Hockenheim circuit, the car looks absolutely menacing. All black machine.
Quickest of anybody in Sector 1, wasn't he? And his personal best in Sector 2. I think he'd be absolutely fine with this, Dave.
So let's see what can Bruno Spengler deliver as he crosses the line. P3.
Very good lap. Bruno's always been good at qualifying, though, hasn't he?
Right. Now, this man needs to deliver now. Gary Paffett. Here he comes in the Mercedes. Another long-term campaigner in the DTM. Oh, brilliant. P6 for Gary Paffett. So really reinforces what you said in terms of he holds on and holds on and holds on and then delivers when he needs to.
Oh, off goes Vitoris, who was pushing hard because he was last but one in the session, and he's not going to make it now,
That's
is
ruined
he?
it, hasn't it?
That's a real shock, isn't it? Christian Vitoris, after a really strong season to fourth in the championship last year, he's going to be out straight away in Q3. Or Q1 rather, out to the bottom 5.
Here's a replay of it. Of course, he can get another lap in potentially, can't he? But it's what it's done to that car. I mean, slid it through the gravel, didn't he? And here it is from on board.
It's the way to Saxkurve, I think, isn't it? Just drifted wide, didn't it? Just understeered. Timo Scheider is now out in the bottom 5. Wickens, Petrov, Hunkadea, and of course Vitoris. Martin Tomczyk is the last one in at the moment in 18th.
Here is Timo Glock then. Celebrated his a victory in DTM last year. Timo Glock then 15th currently. Now goes 7th.
And Matthias Ekstrom's just on the fastest second sector of anybody. So he's 17th at the moment, but he should be safe. There you go, 4th.
Gone
Through
4th.
he goes.
Someone we haven't seen. Da Costa, look. P2 in the chart.
And Di Resta's down to 19th place now. Paul Di Resta, the returning champion, back from Formula 1 after 3 years with Force India, but the 2010 DTM champion. Here he is. Can he squeeze through? We'll find out in about 3 seconds' time. Doesn't look a bad lap. He's in traffic, but has he gone through or not? No. Paul Di Resta still getting used to being back in DTM. Very different driving style, but Di Resta looks like he's out because the flag will now be out. So Paul Di Resta, really difficult return for him. Hunkadea, Wickens, Vitoris, Petrov.
Another one going the same way, Vitaly Petrov. This lap he's not going to deliver, is it?
No, Petrov out as well. A year away from racing. Podium finisher, of course, in Formula 1. It's the one podium, but the Russian driver finding out how tough it is, and many of the drivers, Dave, saying that this is potentially the toughest DTM season yet. The quality of drivers, the calibre all the way through the field is very, very high, isn't it?
So 5 Mercedes cars out, Chris. As we see Danny Juncadella there. One of those, of course, Vitaly Petrov, Paul Di Resta. Well, we now will have a 7-minute break between the qualifying sessions. I think it's fair to say what has surprised me perhaps the most, if I may, is the fact that we have lost Robert Wickens.
Yeah, I think you're right. He's never really shared any pace in that session, did he? Race winner, of course, last year.
So the pit perch there of Mercedes, or Toto Wolff on there. Well, Gary Paffett finishing 10th fastest with a 1:33.179, so absolutely squeezed everything out of that Mercedes that he possibly could.
So Marco Wittmann, fastest, the BMW with a 1:32.835, 6,000ths quicker than the next man through.
Here we have confirmation of those going out then. Paul Di Resta, Daniel Juncadella, Robert Wickens, Christian Vitoris and Vitaly Petrov. And the logo of Mercedes on the bar of every one of those that's going out from the first qualifying session here at Hockenheim, round 1 of the 30th season 2014. Well, if we were to follow the lead that we saw in free practice, neither you nor I will be surprised by that, but so we see Paul Di Resta. The car back in the garage there. Now, this, as you said just a few moments ago, Chris, really, really competitive season, and to come back into it, as we see Christian Vitoris walking down the pit lane there. And here we take a look at some shots of those that are going out from the first session of qualifying, including this man from Formula 1 to DTM, and Vitaly Petrov, sadly not making it through the first part of qualifying. Also out then, we saw him on screen just a few moments ago, Christian Vittoris. He didn't make it through to Q2. And this, for me, is the big surprise. Robert Wickens, with that Freeman's livery for 2014. I really thought if anyone could wrestle that car through, it would be him, and hasn't done it.
No, 3/10 away from making it through. So it wasn't that tight a gap either, was it?
Danny Juncadella, another one that's out in the Mercedes-AMG C Coupe. Beautiful looking car, that. And Paul di Resta, upon his return to DTM, well, he's going to have some work to do tomorrow, isn't he?
That's right, yeah. 3 seasons away, racing in F1. Almost making it on the podium there. A strong F1 career. A couple of 4th place finishes, regular points finisher. Impressed. He's always stayed in touch with the DTM, though. He's always come along and been in the paddock and been on the grid when he can. So, very successful career. But Paul, the Scotsman, will have much frustration at the fact that he's missed out the cut. Only just by 1/10, but he misses going through to Q2. So 18 cars left, and then we're going to have, in this next session, coming up in a few minutes' time, the slowest 10 dropping out, and only 8 then will go through this new format of qualifying to the final, what becomes the final part of qualifying, the pole shootout.
So from session 1 then, this is what we see. Marco Wittmann was the quickest with a 1:32.835. Then it was Antonio Felix da Costa, very good showing from him for BMW, Maxime Martin. And then you saw the rest of them there, and Molina, Jamie Green, Tombe, Scheider, Verline, Joey Hand, and Tomczyk did make it through. With Verena right now is Christian Vittoris.
Yes, indeed, you guys. Christian, last year, best Mercedes-Benz. Now, first qualifying of the season. You cannot be happy with a position 22, that I'm sure of.
Obviously not. Difficult start to the season, that's for sure. We had a long winter break with a lot of testing going on, and we were all looking forward to the qualifying to actually find out where we are. And it looks like that we have a lot of work ahead of us.
It certainly looks so. 5 Mercedes-Benz all in all are out. Why? What happened? How do you explain this disaster?
Well, it's pretty difficult so short after qualifying to find the reasons. It's the first time that we won the car on low fuel, without extra rate. We haven't done that on testing. No one did that before, so that's the first time where we really find out where we are, how fast we are. And it's hard to say why. We have worked very hard over the winter. Every single minute we had, we used. But yeah, it was not enough.
Tomorrow's going to be interesting. Thank you very much, Christian, and back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Verena. Well, of course, disappointed Christian Vittoris, and not surprisingly, isn't actually able to give us an indication or an answer as to why. Absolutely, we have no doubt that he, the team, everyone connected will have worked so very hard. But questions will be asked. Okay, the time goes very quickly, Chris Hartley. We're into the next stage of qualifying right now.
Yeah, all the BMWs left, all the Audis left, only 2 Mercedes left, because as you say, the 5 that dropped out were all Mercedes. So Pascal Wehrlein and the 2005 champion Gary Paffett, the only 2 remaining Mercedes. With these 18 cars, and only 8 of them are going to make it through to the 3rd and final phase of qualifying now. So this is going to give us the grid from 9th downwards.
So Paul di Resta now, and a disappointed Paul di Resta, I'm sure, with Verena Reitz.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. First of all, it's good to have you back, Paul. After 3 years in Formula 1, now you're back in the DTM. But position 19, how difficult is it to come back to DTM after 3 years of Formula 1?
Yeah, I think the step's always hard to come back, but yeah, a little bit unfortunate. I think the first run was good. I think we were just inside the top 10, and the second run I got a bit of traffic and chose to abort and go for the next lap, and by then the tyres had already gone off. So to miss it by 1 place, I think when we're already struggling a little bit, was unfortunate. But we clearly got some work to do, I think, as a manufacturer. But hopefully tomorrow we can go forward, and we'll do our utmost to try and go forward.
So you're going to push really hard tomorrow?
We definitely need to. I think this morning we got a bit surprised, but certainly, we'll be working hard to try and, make up the difference soon.
Thank you very much, Paul. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Verena. Well, of course, disappointed Paul, but actually, realises and accepts the fact that it was very, very close, and actually he takes perhaps some comfort from that he had to abort 1 lap, and perhaps that was. But there we are. Ifs and maybes, Chris. It is what it is. He's out of the first part of qualifying. So we're into Q2. Edo Mortara we're watching right now as the clock counts down, and it goes so very quickly. Under 9 minutes left already, and Edo Mortara then in the Audi. First sector at 23.33. See Mike Rockenfeller just at the back of the picture behind on the way as well. Heavy braking then into that hairpin. Nice clean and tidy line exit. And Edo will give us the benchmark time for us to start from, and well, the pressure mounts as the qualifying continues, Chris.
Yeah, Mortara's looked pretty pacey though. He's been keen to get out early in the sessions as well, and that's a very good first sector time of 20.33. That's low 20s that you'd look to do. A 44.2 is pretty good as well. Obviously it's going to be purple because he's the first man to go through on this session, but they are pretty good sector times there, and he's looking like he might get a high 132 here, which you would think would be enough to see him through. It's just to get into the top 10 this lap isn't going to determine, or top 8 rather, just to determine them going through rather than sending the pole time, but they've got to get into that top 8 now. Mortara though, in his 3rd season now of DTM, just misses the 132s, but that's not a bad effort. 133.080. He was 9th in his first season, 5th in the championship last year, so he's the likeable Italian going the right way, isn't he, in his career?
Yes, Marco Wittmann with the Ice Watch livery adorning the BMW, and keeping our eyes on Marco Wittmann. Also got the clock up on Timo Glock as well. BMW M4 DTM, absolutely beautiful looking car. There's Marco then, and crosses the line now with a 132.573. Timo with a 133.063. So Marco Wittmann, who looked really quick in Q1, is Tomczyk now. Martin Tomczyk then. Great to be on board to hear just how they punish this car around the Hockenheim circuit. We're into Q2, DTM 2014, and Tomczyk on his way around the final 2 turns now and heads for the timing line. What can Martin Tomczyk deliver? 132.573 from Wittmann and a 132.960 from Martin Tomczyk, which wouldn't be enough.
It's looking like a better lap for him there than he managed in the first session. Here's a newcomer to DTM, then Nico Müller. As I say, he's had this very solid single-seater career of the last few seasons. The young Swiss driver, only 22, 3rd in the GP3 series in 2010, 4th the year after that. He never stepped up to GP2. He then went to Formula Renault for the last couple of years. He was 3rd in that championship last year. Now he's been snapped up by Audi, and a 132.8 is a pretty decent effort. And all the way through the rollout yesterday and the free practice today, Müller has looked comfortable. He's up to home, and the car looks to be underneath him. So pretty impressed so far by what the young Swiss driver has done.
Yes, so well done to Nico. Here Jamie Green then, and following close behind is Gary Paffett. Of course, the two of them used to run together. Well, a 22.97 first sector, 44.2 second. So with almost exactly 5 minutes left in this Q2, 132.573 is the quickest, and Jamie Green A 1:33.118 puts him 15th fastest.
Yeah, you've got to get a 1:32.8 to get into that top 8 bracket at the moment. Wittmann's done a 1:32.5. Mortara second with a 1:32.7. Miguel Mullin are going well, third with a 1:32.7 as well. Spengler, the BMW, 1:32.8 is fourth. Paffett, the Mercedes, going well for him, 1:32.8 for him is fifth. Yep. Muller is sixth with a 1:32.8 as well. And Rockenfeller, the champion, seventh. And then Antonio Felix da Costa, another debutant who was second quickest in the first part of qualifying. So you got from fourth down to eighth, Dave, all in the 1:32.8. So it's half a tenth of a second covering those 5 drivers.
It is oh so close. Timo Glock in the Deutsche Post livery. The M4 DTM from Timo Glock then. Little bit wide on the exit of that turn. He's got 2 turns left before the timing line and actually ditches that one and dives into the pit lane.
Jamie Green's on a good lap by the looks of things. Fastest of anybody in Sector 1 with a 20.157. It is the shortest sector, Sector 1, but Sector 2 he's done a personal best. Sector 3, not so. He's gone off. So that was a cracking lap, and it might just have seen him through into the top 8, but now he's got gravel on his tyres. He's got 3.5 minutes still to go in the session, but he's only going to get 1, maybe 2 more runs at this. That's a real shame. Look at all the gravel coming out of the car.
So off then for Jamie Green as he pushes so hard. And did jolly well, you know, to keep it out of the barrier. Yeah,
it could have been a lot worse. Martin Tomczyk comes into the pits. He only just made the cut for this one. At the moment, he's in 11th place, the former champion, 1:32.9 for Tomczyk. You're right, it was almost to the wall, that, wasn't it? And look at all that. Imagine the mess to the tyres that's done. So they'll whip him off, send him back out, and he should have time, Dave, to come back around and start a new lap, shouldn't he?
This hasn't gone terribly well for them, and the time really is ticking away. They've got a problem with the front there, as you can see. All the engineers are around it. Desperately need to get Jamie out. They can't get it secured. It's a brand new wheel there.
Yeah. It might just be a bit of gravel or something in there, or has it damaged the nut? But yeah, struggling. Time's ticking away. And all he's got to do is start the lap before it runs out, but he's got to get out first, hasn't he?
And Jamie is under investigation, of course, for track limits. Right, they've done it. So, with just 2 minutes left on the clock, that is a race against it. Here's Marco Wittmann then, 1:32.573. He's already the quickest. Can he improve on that time? Marco Wittmann. Yes, he can. 1:32. No, that's 1:32.585. So actually, it's marginally slower than his fastest lap, which got 1 minute 40 seconds left to run. Here's Matthias Ekström.
Look at the margins. Tombé's going to miss out by 7 thousandths of a second at the moment on a top 8 place. Nothing, is it? Absolutely nothing. Farfus is one back as well. So Augusto Farfus. There's a lockup for Ekström. Personal best in the first sector. Bit untidy there though. Would have lost a tenth or two. .43.9. It's still a personal best though for Matthias Ekström. At the moment he's in 14th place and he needs to find a couple of tenths to get himself into the top 8. Miguel Mullin is now fastest. Personal bests in sectors 2 and 3 for the Spaniard. So 1:32.3 for him. Mortara second, Wittmann down to third, Rockenfeller fourth, Spengler, then Paffett, then Muller, then da Costa in 8th at the moment. Not anymore. 9th, Matthias Ekström held it together. Just that one lock-up in the middle of the lap. Here's Maxime Martin, another very experienced driver coming through into DTM. It's Tintop and GT racing background. The Belgium is going well. Oh, he scraped in there, Dave, in 8th place.
So we've got just 20 seconds left on the clock. Oh, Joey Hand just getting a little bit wide there. Another driver with a new livery for this year. Joey Hand then. Pink and grey effect on that car. Currently 17th. Well, he improves on it and goes 15th. But it's not enough. And also, as the graphic indicates on the left-hand side of your screen, the champ is out.
At the moment, by 100th of a second.
Yeah.
Mike Rockenfeller, 132.717. Timo Scheider did a 132.706 and snuck up into 8th place. And we saw that good lap from Ekstrom. What about Martin Tomczyk? He might just sneak in here. Let's have a look. Through he comes, crosses the line, third. Good lap, really good lap. Bearing in mind, he only just got into this session. He was the 18th quickest.
Yes.
That's a really good effort from Tomczyk. It's pushed Timo Scheider out now of the top 8. But here is Scheider, who had a good start to the lap with a 20.1. Not too bad a middle sector, but he needs a really good sector here.
Well, Rocky definitely out. Here comes Timo Scheider then. What can he do? Not enough.
Not quite there, no.
Here's the answer. And Jamie Green, we just saw in shot there. Timo Glock still on a lap. No, he's not.
He's aborted it. Actually, the first 2 sectors were good, so maybe there was a mistake somewhere in that 3rd sector because he's on the cusp. He was 9th going into that lap. Just misses out by, what, 0.08 of a second. Pace picked up at the end of that session, didn't it, Dave?
Yes, it did.
Early on, you needed a 132.8. By the end, it was 132.5 was the time you needed to achieve to get into the top 8 shootout.
And there, Timo Glock, as you say, whether he made a mistake, because the sector times up to that point, you'd have thought he'd have stuck with it and there was just a chance, but it wasn't to be. Well, some surprises there as well, perhaps, including that, maybe the biggest of them all, Rockefeller. Bruno Spengler.
Last man through, Bruno Spengler, 132.595. 8 thousandths quicker than Timo Glock, who just missed the cut. There's the confirmation then, Dave, and look how tight it was. 0.2 of a second covering the top 8.
Remarkable, those going through: Molina, Mortara, Tomczyk, Ekstrom, Felix da Costa, Wittmann and Spengler. Those out, Chris.
Timo Glock, Timo Scheider, Mike Rockenfeller, the defending champion. Augusto Farfus, the most winning driver and the runner-up in the championship last year. Nico Muller also out, but 13th place, not too bad an effort, I think, that in his DTM qualifying debut. Maxime Martin from Blancpain and from FIA GT's 14th. Gary Paffett out, Pascal Wehrlein out, so no Mercedes in the top 8. Joey Hand and Jamie Green also out of the session, so there's a very disappointed Gary Paffett.
Saw Mark Blundell, Gary's manager, in the garage there with him. Vitaly Petrov is the man that we're going to hear from next, and he's down there with Farina.
And I'm here with Vitaly Petrov. Vitaly, your first qualifying here in the DTM. Are you disappointed, or is it okay for you for the first qualifying?
I just disappointed I couldn't finish my fastest lap because one car in front of me went off, and then I will stay behind him all the laps, so I couldn't push enough. But actually I'm quite happy because the feeling of the car is quite good, so we improve the setup from practice, so I'm looking forward tomorrow for the race.
Thank you very much, best of luck, bye-bye. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Verena, as we see Timo Scheider. We said earlier on the champ is out, a big surprise perhaps. He's with Verena right now.
Yeah, Rocky, DTM champ last year. Obviously today you're expecting the best from the qualifying, I guess, because as a champion you want to give everything. Now you're in P11 and it's just hundreds of seconds, you didn't make it. How does it feel, and does that in any point disappoint you, or are you, I mean, it's the first qualifying.
It's the first qualifying, but of course I'm disappointed. You know, I think 4 Audis are in front of me right now. So internally, of course, you want to do better. So you can see the car can do better. Somehow it was not possible. It didn't feel too bad, but I was just not quick enough today. So tomorrow is racing, and we try to fight. P11 I think is not the worst. We are in the middle of the pack, so let's see what happens. But for sure, I was aiming for a bit more here.
I bet. But in general, as the current champ, is there more pressure or less because you already have the title?
No, I think at the end the pressure is the same for everybody. You try your best. Everybody starts with 0 points in the championship, and we really try hard. And somehow it didn't work out. So we have to, try to make the best out of it tomorrow. I think it's a long season. As we saw last year, you have to score points, and that's the goal.
Thank you so much, Rocky. Back to you guys.
Thanks very much, Verena. And as Mike was saying there, it's points that you need, isn't it? Not necessarily, race wins have got to happen, but actually it's the accumulation of points. It is a long championship, and Rocky is very, very magnanimous, very sensible driver as well.
Yeah, and also of some comfort will be the fact that the time was there. It was almost nothing, was the difference between being through and being out.
Here's Timo Scheider, who Verena has caught.
Yes, indeed. Now, Timo starting in P10 tomorrow. That is disappointing, maybe, I don't know. But do you think it's also just really, really tough because we've got so many names in DTM and so many really, really good drivers? It's never been as tight?
Of course, I had to say it was tight in the winter sessions already, but we had no clue what the real performance would be for the others. But right now we know the performance level, so you can see that the DTM is really, really close now with all these good drivers we have in the DTM. So I'm just in the middle of the pack, so I think there's still something possible. We focused quite a bit on tomorrow's race for the distance. I hope we did the right choice.
Right, well, best of luck. Thank you very much, Timo. And back to you guys again.
Thanks, Verena. And yes, Timo said it. It's so much talent out there on track, and so very, very close. It was teased during winter testing. It was teased during free practice, but we're seeing it for sure now in qualifying. And Timo Glock is with Verena now.
Timo starting in P9 tomorrow. Quite a tough qualifying today, but from 9, anything's possible. What do you think?
Yeah, I think the possibilities are there to grab some points. This is the main goal. It was really tight, really tight in quali. I was quite happy with the changes from free practice to qualifying. The car was a lot better, and I just got into a good rhythm. And unfortunately, on my last lap, I was green in sector 1 and 2, and just made this little mistake into the stadium, and that cost me, I think, Q3, because at the end it was like 7,000s or 8,000s to Bruno. And yeah, I had it in my hands and made the mistake, so sorry to the team, and we try to make it better in the race tomorrow.
And speaking of rhythm, do you think you've got a good rhythm for tomorrow in the race?
Yeah, we need to see. To be honest, when we were testing here to the race weekend now, the car is totally different. So I have no idea how the car will be tomorrow over the race distance. Will be a bit of a surprise, and I hope we have a good strategy and a good start and a good first lap tomorrow.
Let's see. Thank you so much, Timo. Back to you guys.
Well, clearly that was called exactly right then. Timo made a very, very small mistake in the final sector, and that's why he canned the lap. There was no point going any further, but Timo, another one of those that's always very honest and holds his hands up, Chris, and says it was down to me. The Brazilian Augusto Farfus, another one that I'm sure will be disappointed, and he's with Verena.
Yeah, let's find out. Augusto, P12 tomorrow for the race. Are you disappointed about that?
Yeah, well, a little bit. I think we could have been up there. Today we did not find the perfect balance for them full, so it was difficult to squeeze the lap out of it. I pushed as maximum as I could, but the car was just not able to get to P8, so I think we have to improve a little bit. There is some room for improvement, and the season's still long, so I have to do step by step, and then tomorrow we'll see.
And all in all, it's never been so tight as now. We have 7 former champions. Is that intimidating at all, or are you just going to push as hard and anything as possible?
Well, we just do what we can. It's great for the series to have 7 champions. It shows how high the level is. But at the end, we drive for ourselves. So, every time we're out there, we try to push to bring the car to the limit, and that's what we do. So it's good to have 7 champions because it shows how high the level is. And but we push, and I'm sure we can be up there as well.
Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you, Verena. I can't see anything intimidating Augusto Farfus, if I'm honest with you, but we're into the final session of qualifying now. Chris Hartley.
Yeah, and what Augusto was referring to there, Gary Paffett in a recent article, said that this DTM season is probably, in terms of depth of field, an even better quality of driver than in Formula 1. Of course, Formula 1 has some superb drivers in it, but if you look all the way down the list, all the way through the 23 drivers in DTM, they are all seriously hot prospects. So very, very competitive season this will be. We've got 4 BMWs and 4 Audis remaining there. What about Antonio Felix da Costa, the youngster through in his first DTM qualifying session into the top 8. He's done incredibly well. He's the only one of the rookies to make it through this far. And in terms of looking at times then, from that last session, Molina did a 1:32.372. So that's the sort of benchmark we're looking at, a low 1:32. And a chance of pole in this remaining 11-minute shootout. So rather than the top 4 going and having one hot lap each, which has always been the format leading up to this in recent years, now all 8 cars get to go and probably put in 4 or 5 laps possibly in this session, 3 or 4 at least, to get this pole position sorted out. And Edo Matara is one of the first ones out again, Dave.
Yes, he is, and he's chosen to be out early on, hasn't he? And once again, he will set a benchmark for us, and it's not the low 32s, it's a 1:33.623, so you can't help but feel there's more to come from that Audi and more to come from Edo Mortara as well. We're seeing Mortara, Molina, Tombe, Wittmann, Ekstrom and Tomczyk out there. We go on board with Miguel Molina, who does a 1:33.094, so that elevates him to P1 on the times at the moment. Adrian Tombe now, saw him taking a look at the circuit in his preparations before getting out into this qualifying session. 2014, will it be Tombe's year? Here he comes to cross the line right now, and second fastest with a 1:33.147.
Because these qualifying sessions were so open last year, weren't they? We had 5 different pole sitters in the first 5 races of the year. In the end, 8 different drivers took pole position, and I think it could well go the same way this year. Wittmann goes through, he's been looking good.
Yes, the first sub 1:33, 1:32.873, the first in this part of qualifying. The final part, and Matthias Ekstrom blitzes that with a 1:32.624.
Yeah, that was a decent lap actually, 1:32.6 for him, 1:32.8 for Wittmann. There are only 2 in the 1:32s at the moment. So there's definitely more to come in this session in terms of lap times.
But we have merely 6 and a bit minutes left. It all goes very, very quickly. Little bit of dust being kicked up there from the back of that car. This is Adrian Tombe once again. So Ekstrom a 1:04.104 to that point, and a 1:04.567 for Tombe. So deliver something very, very special through this last sector. But
yeah, first sector's better than anybody else has managed so far within this session. And Ekstrom actually has got the fastest time. Wasn't that quick through the first sector, but it is just 20 odd seconds the first sector, and actually he's given up on that lap, hasn't he?
Yep.
Matara came in as well, so just the one flying lap for Matara, then back into the pits he came. So it's fairly quiet out on track at the moment. We've got 5 cars, I think, out on circuit, the rest of them in the pits. And Marco Wittmann also making his way into the pits, so new tyres on and another crack at it for Adrian Tombe. Matthias Ekstrom, I think, just about to start a flying lap, so through he goes in the Audi, and a couple of seconds behind him on the road is Martin Tomczyk just going through.
so there's Wittmann on his way out, and Bruno Spengler now ventures out from the garage with just under 5 minutes left to run in the final session of qualifying for the first race of DTM 2014, which comes your way tomorrow. So the all-black BMW Bank car of Bruno Spengler. Ekstrom tops the table at the moment with a 1:32.624. Wittmann 1:32.873. And this the outlap for Bruno Spengler, weaving that car from side to side to try and get some temperature into those Hankook tyres.
Da Costa's not been out on the circuit, has he? Antonio Felix da Costa leaving it pretty late, looking like he's going to try and maybe bang in 1 or 2 laps, and that's it. Great onboard view there inside the cockpit of Bruno Spengler's BMW. Using the paddle shift there, 6-speed gearbox. 260 kilometres an hour when he gets up to flying speed on the first flying lap, but just putting a bit of temperature in the brakes and tyres at the moment.
So the man you said hadn't appeared has now, and he has left it, as Spengler has, to quite late in the session. 3.5 minutes left. So 1:32.625, I remind you, is the current quickest, which
now Miguel Molina's just done a flying first sector, hasn't he? 20.171, that's the quickest of anybody so far.
So this will be one to watch.
Actually, I was going to say it's come up as purple, but actually, looking at the timing screens, slightly quicker than that in the first sector was Marco Wittmann, so he's also on a very good lap.
Big lock up there into the hairpin. Here is Wittmann then. 20.129 first sector for Marco Wittmann. Till this point has been second on the chart. 2.5 minutes left to run in this. It's impressive through free practice. Has been impressive through all these quali sessions as well as Wittmann. And the flying BMW bank car of Bruno Spengler.
So Wittmann quicker than his best in sector 2 as well. Looking like he might move on to provisional pole here with this lap, the German. Coming into the stadium section for the final time on this. Oh no, penultimate time probably. I'll get one more lap out of this, yes. I think. And
Wittmann heads to the line then.
Second for Wittmann.
And Tombe quickest, a 1:32.505 from Tombe. Spengler, third fastest. 1.5 minutes to find a little bit more, Chris.
Still nobody's got into the 1:32.3s like Molina did in the previous part of qualifying. So Tombe fastest, 1:32.505. He's 11 thousandths of a second quicker than Marco Wittmann at the moment. Third is Spengler with the 1:32.6 exactly. He's 24 thousandths quicker than Ekstrom, who said his time early on. He's fourth quickest. Then it's Matara fifth with the 1:32.9. Then Molina with the 1:33.0. He's sixth. Then Tombe, and then Da Costa sets his first lap, and his first lap is a flyer. He takes provisional pole position. That's cool and calm, isn't it? From somebody that's absolutely new to DTM, leaves it late, comes out, bangs in the time.
Absolutely extraordinary. But now
Tombe's even quicker by the looks of things. Certainly in the first sector, he did a personal best. In the second sector, 43.9 for Tombe, 9.54 for him. And just looking at the screen, Antonio Felix da Costa's had his lap time cancelled for failing to stay on the track limits. So it's taken away from him. Tombe goes quicker anyway with a 1:32.272. So da Costa's gone from first back to 8th now. Just that one lap's been taken away from him for exceeding the track limits.
Well, we said early on, didn't we, that that was something that had to be really, really considered during these qualifying sessions. Here's Spengler, what can he do? Can't improve.
No, struggled in the final sector a little bit there, didn't he? Pushing on through the Nord curve. So what can da Costa do now? Thought he got it, didn't he? Here he is. One more chance at it. As his lap going. The first sector was okay, but not brilliant. The second sector was pretty good. The 43.937, but a tenth away. He's not going to get pole with this, I don't think, unless he has a spectacular final sector. But he should move up from 8th, Dave.
He does to 4th for Antonio Felix da Costa, which, you know, no, it's not pole, but by Jiminy, he ought to be very, very pleased with that.
I think so, and I think he would have been on the front row had he not had that that better time in the first lap taken away from him. But you've got to stay in the rules, you've got to stay within the white lines, and he didn't quite do that. So the flag out. How about that? Andrew and Tombe, 132.27. Well, that was some lap. That's the quickest lap we've seen across all three parts of qualifying. And he was the best part of 2/10 quicker than Marco Wittmann to get that time. Bruno Spengler. Looks like he's eased off. The session now over. I don't think he snuck through, did he, before the flag came out? Or he's abandoned it anyway.
Yeah.
So Tombe, Wittmann and Spengler, the top three, Dave.
Yes, remarkable and great driving from Tombe. And there he is. Pole position for the Playboy car. Marco Wittmann, who has been consistently quick as well. P2, and then Antonio Felix da Costa.
Yeah, he's going to be one to watch, isn't he?
It's
very. I'm just impressed with the way he was so cool about not going out there early, leaving it to the last 4 minutes, wasn't it, before he went out? And 2 very quick laps to see him fourth.
Matthias Ekstrom in there to congratulate Tombe as he welts the car with delight.
And I think Ekstrom will be pretty happy with 5th place as
yes.
well. That was a decent effort, wasn't it? And actually his lap came early in the session. That was his first flying lap, Ekstrom. And he never got quicker than that, or the 1:32.6.
So there apparently was a wrong decision, and da Costa had his time given back to him, the time that was taken away from track limits earlier. Thank you, Sebastian. That is 1:32.475 that gives da Costa then P3.
Right, okay. So from 4th to 3rd. He's gone from 1st to 8th to 3rd to 4th. That's to 4th again and back to 3rd.
Yes.
Something like that. So, yeah, da Costa's got a 1 lap put back in, and 3rd place. So puts Spengler down to 4th. Ekstrom, of course, stays 5th. Molina 6th. Mortara, and then Tomczyk 7th and 8th.
Well, that was a jolly quick appeal by them, wasn't it? So here we are then, and confirmation of how that qualifying ended up with Adrian Tombe. Right at the top, Marco Wittmann P2, Felix da Costa P3, Spengler P4, Ekstrom P5, Molina P6, Mortara P7, and Tomczyk P8. Well, I, for one, was concerned that perhaps we might lose a little bit of drama with Q4 going, but I don't think so. I think that was very dramatic.
So an Audi on pole. It was Audi on pole last year for this race with Timo Scheider, but the BMWs look menacing, don't they? 2nd, 3rd and 4th, 30 years on from the first ever DTM race at Zolder in Belgium, where there was a 1, 2, 3, 4 finish for BMW. They do look like they're going to pose a threat here. Disappointment, though, for Mercedes. Their best driver, 15th, 2005 champion, Gary Paffett. Pascal Wehrlein, 16th. And the rest of them, the other 5, went out in the first part of qualifying. So there'll be lots of glum faces down at Mercedes.
Yes, some work to be done there, isn't there? And we rather felt that may be the case, having watched the rollout and the free practice, and that's perhaps been confirmed during the 3 qualifying sessions that we have so enjoyed this afternoon. The race, of course, to come tomorrow. And Marco Wittmann is with Verena right now.
Yeah, this certainly is interesting. I mean, we've got 7 champs in the DTM, and 3 of the hotshots, the young guns, are basically showing us how to do the DTM. Fantastic qualifying. Marco, you starting tomorrow in P2. How does that feel? That looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's a great start into the season, especially with my new team, RMG. We worked hard over the winter, and it's nice to have such a great result in qualifying now. And yeah, it will be a good race tomorrow. Adrian did a really good lap in qualifying, so very congratulations to him, and looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, I bet, because from P2, I mean, you couldn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, everything is possible. P2 is not the worst position to start. So, of course, we need to attack for tomorrow and look where we can end up in the race.
All right, well, best of luck, Marco. Thank you very much. And back to you guys.
So, Marco then Very, very good opportunity tomorrow, as has this man, Adrian Tombe. Look at the delight across his face. Really, really good to see. So yet another rookie for Verena to talk to, Antonio Felix da Costa.
Yep, it's his first qualifying, and here he is starting in P3 tomorrow. What a fantastic job. Are you excited?
I'm really excited. I mean, it's finally go time. It's been such a long wait, and it's good to see everyone on the racing mode and wanting to go racing. It's been a good weekend so far, starting on the second row. I'm a little bit on the unknown. I don't know what to expect, what to race, whatever. So at least we're starting in the front and see what we can do.
I was going to say, I mean, that is the best option, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a good point to start with, and I'm just happy to be here and in this championship with BMW and Red Bull. I'm a happy man.
It's cool to have you here. Best of luck for tomorrow. Thank you. Bye. Back to you.
Thank you. He's a happy man. There's no surprise there. It is extraordinary, isn't it? As Verena was saying, you know, consider we've got 7 champions and the rookies are showing us the way.
Yeah, Antonio Felix da Costa there, third fastest. Not only has he not driven in DTM ever before, he's never driven a touring car. He's got a complete single-seater background in Renault, Formula 3. And absolutely fantastic stuff from him. As I say, he went well in Formula Renault and GP3 as well, but that is excellent from Antonio, third place. Trouble is, he's got to live up to this now from here on in, hasn't he?
Yeah. Yes. Jens Marquardt there, the BMW team boss, over to congratulate him. And there's Marco. Well, closest ever season in prospect, potentially.
Yeah, and the best of those former champions was fourth in the end. Bruno Spengler, Ekstrom the next best in fifth. Tomczyk, the other one that made it through to the top 8.
So let's hear right now from our pole position superstar, Verena. It's Adrian Tombe.
Yeah, our superstar in pole position. Congratulations, first of all. And that's a way to start the season, isn't it?
Yeah, it was very important to start the season very high, and because the first 2 seasons I was not. And this time I think finally it comes together. So I'm a bit shaking actually, and because it was a hard, a long winter, and to be back like this on pole position, first pole position here in Hockenheim, it's great.
And how's it feel for tomorrow for the race? Pressure? Because, I mean, hey, you can snatch it. You can do it.
Yeah, it's always more pressure if you start at the front, but it's also less pressure of crashing in the first laps. You know, you have less fights, probably. Harder fights, but you are at the front, so it's a bit different. And I hope we can keep a good pace in the long run. The guys behind will not make my life easy, so need to focus and have a good sleep tonight.
All right, you do that. Thank you so much. Best of luck for tomorrow. Back to you.
Thank you, Verena. So good sleep is the order of the day for our pole sitter, Adrian Tombe. And there is the car that propelled him to that position on the grid. And just pleased that everything has come right for Adrian Tombe. The delight there on the pit perch and in the garage as well. And Matthias Ekstrom over there to congratulate him. Good camaraderie there. And he bangs the top of the car. And quite rightly, with delight. So, first pole position. Heck of an achievement, Chris.
Yeah, he's really stepped up. There's been flashes of speed, haven't there? And good races for Adrian, but this is the way to signal your arrival. Good effort by Audi Sport Team Abt as well, because their other man, Mortara, was 7th. And then for the Abt Sportsline team, they had Matthias Ekstrom and Miguel Molina in the top 6 as well.
So here then the result from qualifying: Tombe, Wittmann, then Felix da Costa, Spengler, Ekstrom, Molina, Mortara, Tomczyk, Glock, Scheider, the champ, Rockefeller, P11, Augusto Farfus, P12. Then it was Muller, Maxime Martin, Gary Paffett, Pascal Verline, Jerry Hand, Jamie Green, Paul di Resta, Danny Juncadella, Robert Wickens, Christian Vitoris and Vitaly Petrov in graphics there the combined results from the qualifying session. The first qualifying session of 2014 as we celebrate 30 years of DTM. Here comes the grid. Chris, over to you.
Okay, first grid of the season then for Hockenheim tomorrow. Adrien Tombe, the Frenchman, with a 1:32.272 on pole from Marco Wittmann. Then what a performance by Antonio Felix da Costa. In his first ever qualifying session, he goes third. Bruno Spengler, the champion of 2 years ago, goes fourth for BMW. On row 3, we'll have Matthias Ekstrom and Miguel Molina. Molina, I think, will be pretty pleased with himself there as well, into the top 6. And then the other 2 to make the top 8 shootout were Eduardo Matara and Martin Tomczyk. I think, again, will be pretty satisfied given that he almost missed out right at the start of the first part of qualifying. Timo Glock, by 7/1000ths of a second, missed out the top 8 shootout with a mistake from him. Timo Scheider is going to be starting the race 10th. Mike Rockenfeller, pragmatic, not too disappointed. Outwardly, he'll be 11th with Augusto Farfus, his challenger from last year's championship. Right next to him, 12th on the grid. Nico Muller, the rookie, 13th. Maxime Martin, the rookie, but also a very experienced racer there alongside him. And then the best of the Mercedes drivers, Gary Paffett in the Euronics car, Pascal Wehrlein also made it through to the second part of qualifying, but they're the best of the Mercedes. Joey Hans, the American driver, coming through 17th. Jamie Green in 18th. Might have been better, but he had a mistake on his very best lap as well earlier on in qualifying. Paul Di Resta returns to the championship, but 19th place. He just missed out in the first part of qualifying. Daniel Hockadea also out in that first part of qualifying, as was Robert Wickens, race winner last year, and Christian Vitoris, 4th in the championship last year. Bit of a shock for him back there, and Vitaly Petrov in his DTM debut back in 23rd place with work to do.
So then the grid in full, and the race in prospect for tomorrow. The Baden-Württemberg Centre that you could see there in picture, just in the middle of your picture just a few moments ago, will be the venue for the press conference that will come in but a while as we take a look at the top 3. And Antonio Felix da Costa then in the Red Bull BMW M4 DTM puts it P3 on the grid. Then we see the Ice Watch livery. Cool looking car, cool man, of course, Marco Wittmann. And then Tombe did it and put it on pole position there with the Playboy livery. Okay, let's join Peter Reichert now for the qualifying press conference.
So, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome from my side to the first after qualifying press conference here of the DTM